What if I told you if I knew your MOS, I can probably guess 3 conditions you're not rated for? I'm Jacob, a veteran expert, and I've helped thousands of veterans properly leverage their MOS to get the benefits they didn't realize they were missing out on. Most veterans think VA ratings come down to what hurts the most right now. But that's not actually how the VA looks at your service. They look at patterns of exposure. Here's where MOS comes into play. Different jobs in the military create very predictable exposure patterns. For example, if someone was artillery or infantry, you can probably assume years of blast exposure, constant weapons fire, and/or heavy load bearing. So what conditions do we often see show up later? Hearing issues, tinnitus, and joint wear in the knees and the back. Not because someone is exaggerating, because that's literally what happens when you go do that job for years. Now look at a mechanic. Constant wrenching, lifting heavy equipment, and working overhead. You can assume shoulders, knees, or elbows. Very common. Or take someone in admin or logistic roles. A lot of sitting, long hours at desk, and poor posture over time. You see patterns like neck issues, lower back pain, repetitive strain injuries. Or there's aviation, extreme noise exposure, weird sleep schedules, or irregular rhythms for years. So you start seeing things like sleep disruption and hearing issues. But here's the key point. These are patterns of exposure, and the VA evaluates claims through that lens. But most veterans never connect their MOS to the secondary issues that come from doing that job every day. So they file for the loudest issue, the one that bothers them the most. And they never step back and ask, what did my job actually expose me to for years? Which means blind spots happen all the time. But here's where a lot of good vets get uncomfortable. There's a conversation that makes a lot of veterans uneasy, looking deeper into their conditions, because they're worried about gaming the system. You hear things like, I didn't deploy, or I wasn't infantry, or other guys had it worse. So the mindset becomes, I'll just leave it alone. But here's the problem with that belief. It causes a lot of veterans to normalize real injuries. They work through pain, they deal with migraines, they sleep 4 hours a night, and they just assume, well, that's life. Meanwhile, the condition may actually be service connected. The line isn't your MOS, the line isn't whether someone else had it worse, the line is whether the condition is real and connected to your service. Looking at your MOS strategically isn't cheating. It's organizing facts. It's understanding what your body went through and making sure the full picture is actually documented. That's a very different thing from trying to inflate something that isn't real. And most honest vets feel a lot better once they understand that difference. So the real question becomes, what should you actually do with this information? A head-to-toe MOS review. 4 steps. Step 1, exposure map. Start by asking a basic question. What did my job expose me to regularly? Noise, impact, repetitive lifting, chemicals, sleep disruption, or heavy gear? Your MOS usually makes this pretty obvious. Step 2, symptom audit. What symptoms have shown up over time that you've just normalized? Back pain, knee issues, headaches, sleep problems, or even hearing issues. A lot of vets don't think about these because they lived with them for years. Step 3, documentation gap check. Now ask, what is actually documented in my records versus what I've just been dealing with quietly. This is where a lot of people realize something. There's a big gap between their daily symptoms and what's actually written down. Step 4, connect the dots. Service connection usually comes down to 2 things. Evidence and exposure pattern. Not hype, not exaggeration, just connecting the dots between your service and your health. And when veterans do this review for the first time, they often realize something surprising. They only filed for the loudest issue, not the full picture. And that's exactly why a lot of vets feel stuck for years. Here's what usually happens when someone never revisits their MOS. Before, they assume their rating is final. They assume nothing else counts. They assume the VA already saw everything. So they move on. And they live with issues that are either untreated or underdocumented. Now imagine a different scenario. No promises, just clarity. After the full MOS review, you understand what your service actually exposed you to. You understand what conditions are connected to that, and you understand what's documented and what isn't. You stop guessing, you stop relying on random advice online, you just have a clear picture of your situation. And the bridge between those two worlds is actually simple. Not filing everything at once, not inflating anything, just doing one structured review, head to toe. Looking at your service history honestly and connecting it to your health history. When veterans do that, a lot of them realize something. They weren't crazy for feeling underrated, they just never mapped their MOS to their medical reality. So if you've never looked at your MOS this way, that's probably the first step. Not rushing to file something tomorrow, not throwing spaghetti at the wall, just getting clear. Because your MOS already tells part of the story. Most vets just never learn how to read it. If you want to understand how a proper head-to-toe review actually works based on how you served, here at VetClaims.ai, we break that process down step by step. We've helped over 25,000 veterans in the last year alone. So if you need help getting the rating you deserve, click the link in the description below.